I promised you guys that I would give you this update on this trade war where it's just, America wanted to tax 145% tariff. And the vessels that came in this week were the first of it. And Gene Soroka, the director of the LA ports, stated that there were cancellations from China's side.
See here at the Port of LA is normally during the month of May, we'd have about 80 ships coming here to the facilities. 17 of those have been canceled thus far. And in this week in particular, we've welcomed 16 ships with 4 cancellations, all from China.
And we did have the president of California Trucking Association tell me last week that if this were to prolong for 30 days or more, that's when you could see empty shelves. But I wanted to talk about this real quick and put it out there. This reporter was stating that, the port workers and truck drivers were in fear of losing their jobs.
Because business has slowed down, as you mentioned, we're seeing as a result, the ports here in the U.S., the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
And President Trump replied to that. But I got a lot of people in the comments that stated that they, at the very moment this week, were not seeing the slowdowns themselves. And a lot of that is just this media fear mongering. So I just want to let you guys know out there that that's what drivers are telling me, that they're still busy as of now. So there are no concerns there. But if it were to last longer, then of course that could be a domino effect for everybody out there. But from this is from the whitehouse.gov. Okay. So this is from their official site. It says here, U.S. announces China trade deal in Geneva. So it looks like there is some tentative deal going on. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent says, quote, "I'm happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China in this very important trade talks."
Happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China in these very important trade talks. First, I want to thank our Swiss host. The Swiss government has been very kind in providing us this wonderful venue, and I think that led to a great deal of the productivity we've seen. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you that the talks were productive. We had the vice premier, 2 vice ministers who were integrally involved, Ambassador Jameson and myself. And I spoke to President Trump, as did Ambassador Jameson last night, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning. I will turn it over to the ambassador.
Thank you, Secretary. I want to echo the Secretary's remarks with respect to the Swiss government. They've been so welcoming, and they've hosted this, and everything has gone off flawlessly, and we appreciate that. And again, to the Chinese negotiators, Vice Premier Liu He, Vice Minister Li Qiangong, and Vice Minister Liao Min worked very diligently, and these are very tough negotiators. A couple of them I know from before and have had past interactions with them. And this was, as the Secretary pointed out, a very constructive 2 days. It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought. That being said, there was a lot of groundwork that went into these 2 days. Just remember why we're here in the first place. The United States has a massive $1.2 trillion trade deficit. So the president declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs. And we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
And I would just conclude with saying it was done in the spirit of cooperation, shared interest, mutual respect, and we look forward to sharing the details with you tomorrow morning.
So, look, this is what President Trump does, right? He stirs a lot of stuff up, stirs the pot, and people start jumping on things. So it sounds like this isn't something, from my opinion, that's going to last longer than 30 days. From both sides, I'm trying to get commentary, not just from Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, but from China's side, Ambassador, as well.
The two sides held in-depth exchanges on trade and economic issues of their respective concern. The atmosphere of the meeting was candid, in-depth and constructive. The meeting achieved substantial progress and reached important consensus.
The two of it in what media is stating, it seems like they got something going on. We will have more on this tomorrow, but it sounds like this is the best thing that can happen, right? I was not in fear, but I was thinking that it could have gone the opposite direction where they just couldn't get along. They couldn't work anything out. And that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like both partners want to find a way to make this work.
On a traditional Friday, it's usually somewhere between 40 and 50 of these work groups. We're feeling the impact immediately. And the ships that arrived this week, Conan, were the first to have the new 145% China tariff attached to it. And that simply means those additional costs are going to be moved right on to the consumer.
And for all the American people that be watching this podcast, sir, there's a lot of fear mongering going around about, shelves will be empty, things like that. Is there some truth to that? Or do you think that us as Americans will be okay?
To be honest with you, it's the type of product that's either manufactured from China or wherever the hardest hit tariffs countries. But there's a lot of product that is actually manufactured in America, right? Or even Mexico or Canada that will fill the shelves. Some of the BCOs that we've talked to said that, they have 30 days to 45 days of inventory in their warehouses or DCs, but it's still concerning. People don't understand how fast that will go. Like, it will go quickly. So we're hoping that there be some kind of reprieve or some kind of agreement that is made with, China and some of these other countries that we're actually having these issues with, right? Is there a trade imbalance? It depends what side of the table you're on. There may be, there may not be, but if you look at the numbers that are put out there, it's pretty insignificant. And it's pretty significant that there is some differences in how stuff is taxed versus others, right? And there's a tariff. So I would be concerned if it lasts longer than 30 days. I would be definitely concerned you're going to see some shortages on the shelf.
So after 30 days. So if this was a letter to, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, or even if we had an opportunity to talk to, President Trump himself, what would we want, President Trump or, the administration to know about our truck drivers, and what do they need to do to protect our drivers?
Well, at the end of the day, they need to make sure, depending on what side of the table you're on, they're trying to do the right thing for the country, right? And try to make the economy strong again, make the American dollar strong, and make sure that we have longevity in our jobs. But at the end of the day, is this short-term hurt that is putting on to us worth it? Who knows, right? There's a lot of pushback depending on what association you talk to, whether it be the ag guys, whether it be the car hauler guys, whoever, the relay guys, the retailer guys. Everyone said there's constant hurt going on in their own segments. So if I were to be able to talk to them, is that make sure that this is worth it. Make sure that what your end goal is going to actually benefit us in the long run. This short-term pain, it's going to be extremely painful, and we're feeling it now, even though those vessels have not hit yet, or they're not even planned to come. So they really got to understand what they're going to do to the American people.